Good afternoon and welcome to Liberated Badass Status. I'm so glad to be here and I'm so glad that you are too. I am Sarah, the host of Liberated Badass Status, and this series is called I've Been Thinking, which really is meant to be some of my thoughts, my collected thoughts over time and or whatever is happening in the current situation of life, to be able to provide some thoughts to what's going on in my life currently and impacting the lives of others. And with everything that's going on, I had a lovely day relaxing and spending some time with family in various different ways, Zooming and so forth. And we sat down to watch 60 Minutes at the end of the day. And it was an interesting episode. They had a couple of doctors, a doctor, nurse that stands out in my recollection right now, talking about what's going on and giving some information about what's going on, mostly in New York, but just a lot of general content around what's going on with COVID-19 and the shortage of supplies and the state of the healthcare system. And so that got me thinking. And my mind naturally goes to all of the things that my content represents around living a liberated lifestyle and truly at the heart of what it is to live a liberated badass life, live at liberated badass status, is all about saving my own life. Started out as my mission was to save my own life, and I learned in the process of saving my own life, other people were inspired to also save their own, stepping into their own power as a result of watching me make some of the big life changes that I've made. So as it relates, watching last night reminded me and got my mind thinking of all those concepts that I love to think about the most. And as I heard the staff, the nurses and doctors and a military, I can't remember her role, but someone from the military was also on there, and reflecting on the choice that they were having to make of going into work each day and making the choice to save their own life or save the lives of others, ultimately, is what it came down to. And they were sharing in the context of running out of supplies and or having to use supplies in ways that they had not been challenged to in the past. So ways in fact that they would have been reprimanded for, like reusing a mask or reusing other protective gear. And so they were reflecting on how much has changed, how frustrated they were, how frustrated the staff and the system was, and how stretched the system was, because they don't have what they need. And even the personnel themselves getting tired and working around the clock. The woman that stands out in my mind talked about how she couldn't remember the last time that she had slept, let alone eaten. And to be fair, I watched, now that I'm thinking about it, I watched the current 60 Minutes from last night, and then I also watched the 60 Minutes from 2 weeks ago in the same sitting. There was an interview with Brene Brown that I was watching from a couple weeks ago. So anyway, all of it pulled together, doctors and nurses that were reflecting on how they were having to make these decisions to choose their own life or choose their lives of their patients. And as she was sharing that she hadn't slept, she couldn't remember the last time that she had slept or eaten, that made me feel pretty stressed, honestly. That really kicked up my stress level quite a bit and really got me thinking of how I absolutely do not want other people like her, people on the front lines, and people that are on the front lines all the time, as well as the people who are on the front lines right now, because there are people on the front lines right now that are not normally what we would think of as frontline workers, like the people who are working at Publix, my grocery store around the corner. They are on the front lines today with what's going on with in our world right now. And I got to thinking, like, I really don't want them to have to choose between their life or mine. And so as I followed this rabbit hole, it really got me pretty worked up. And I got into this mindset around, man, people, myself included, need to be doing everything possible to save their own life first. Like, it really does come down to that. And it comes down to that now, and it's actually come down to that every other day before today. That we should, this bigger picture is living a life, living the best life that you possibly can right now. And even just saying that, it does sound like it's almost a luxury. But the reality is, it's just gotten out of hand the way people talk about living their best life. And it's gotten out of hand the same way that our culture, our society has gotten out of hand with living in excess. Spending more money than they're making, not taking good care of their physical bodies, not taking good care of their mental health, their spiritual health. And I'm right there alongside of everybody else. I certainly am far from perfect and struggle daily in various decisions. You know, even as simple as it may sound, the days that I opt out of exercising are literally days where I am making the choice to put myself at risk. And when I put myself at risk, I am also putting other people at risk. So I am a super planner and I am a super thinker. I love learning and I love thinking and I love strategizing. So I'm always considering the short term and the long term. And so in the short term, it's like a small thing. Okay, I don't feel like exercising today, as a small example. In the long term, when I gather up all of the days that I choose not to take the very best care of myself that I am capable of doing, well, in the long term, I'm decreasing my optimal health for the long term. In every small decision that I make to not live the most healthy possible, I am decreasing my longevity and I'm increasing the risk of having other underlying complications happen between now and the future. So all of this came from, it's all everything together, right? Compiles on top of each other in my mind as I'm thinking about things and taking in all of the information of what's going on around us. But it really got me thinking quite a bit last night after watching the 60 Minutes and hearing these doctors and nurses going through the painful struggle of whether or not to be putting themselves first and their families, or going into work and choosing to save the lives of other people. So my bigger takeaway, my much bigger learning, was I have to be doing everything I possibly can to take the very best care of myself. And that is going to look differently for everybody. But the basic big picture categories are all the same for every single one of us. Taking the very best care of your health, which includes your physical body, your mental body, your emotional self, your physical self, your spiritual self. All of those things are the same for everyone on the planet. How we go about doing it is going to vary a little bit person to person. So because everybody's situation is different, and certainly people who are it came to me last night as I was watching the news and taking that in, that I would want for the nurses and the doctors, their mission to be that when all else fails, right? When all else fails, we go to the ER, we go to the hospital. And they then are able to focus on the people who need it truly the most, who need care truly the most. So I know for myself, as I was listening to them, it really inspired me at an even deeper level than I'm already inspired to be living at liberated badass status for myself and helping those who choose to also be living and searching for that status as well. To really dig in even a little bit deeper into my own habits and making choices that support other people, being able to choose to save their own life first as well. So as I started thinking about it, certainly it impacts the grocery store workers. My taking the very best care of myself, taking the precautions that I choose, that I feel are the best to take for me, ultimately helps them to also save their own life. So it comes to me, for instance, I've worked with a handful of people in the past and just friends of mine, people that I've interacted with over the years. And I hear them saying, oh, I'm gonna start eating right when I really need to. Or I'm gonna put that off until the first of the year to really change up my diet and eat nutritiously and exercise. Or people who've got other underlying conditions like bad allergies, or people who overdrink, who drink more than they feel like they should. There's this idea of, I'm gonna wait and take care of that. Now, they're not doing it with any ill will, obviously, in the very same way that I put off for years leaving a job that was literally killing me. It's just the weight of it was really killing me, and I was allowing it to, and I was choosing to stay. I was doing that to myself. So I think about it in very, very much the same way. In whatever struggle it is that a person is having, the longer we choose to put off dealing with it, the more we're actually putting other people at risk. So I want to leave that with you to consider for yourself what ways that you need to get radical, even right now, as we're in this unique time and space. What ways do you need to get radical? Take charge, take control of your own life to minimize your own risk and to minimize the risk of other people's lives. So, as always, I am here to support you in the journey. Would love to hear your feedback, your takeaways from this content and the message today. And I am also here for you, for those of you that are really radically ready to get serious about living the very best life that you can right now. Myself and John, my team, will come alongside of you and provide you every inch and ounce of support that we possibly can to help you truly know what life is most important to you, get really clear with your priorities and your values, and then help you construct and redesign your life so that you are truly living out the life that you most want to be living. All right, you guys, as always, go do that thing you most need to be doing today. And I'll talk to you soon.